Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's 9:45. I'm TK, and this is Coach on the Rocks. Thank you for joining in, as always. Let me know that you're here. Hopefully, you're starting a wonderful week. So today I was inspired by quite an interesting article, actually, and some interesting research from the Strategic Management Journal. Yes, you can look them up. And it reminded me of unforeseen consequences, or the simple fact that every coin has two sides. You see, I've always been advocating and I've always been a great fan of flat management structures. And I'm sure if you work in HR, many of you feel the same. It just makes sense. Why would you build a pyramid of managers and leaders where actually a flatter structure has many advantages? But it also has disadvantages, and one of which I was very surprised by. So I've read the study, and the wonderful folks at the Strategic Management Journal did an experiment with a job advertisement, and it turned out that if the only thing they changed in the ad was the notion of the flat management structure, they received nearly 30%, 29% less women candidates with that. So having that huge gender imbalance, it got them to do further research, and it turned out it's a real thing that it's less likely for women to apply in these situations. The research quotes that flat management structures have, or women don't like the fact that it possibly results in a much higher workload. There's a high correlation regarding that. It's more difficult to fit in, and also there's less opportunities for career growth. I could debate it. I could say, well, some of it isn't true, but the fact is, this is how it's being perceived. And if you go and read the study, you will find ways you can deal with it and how to focus on making sure that the flat hierarchy works as it should. But what I wanted to highlight, what was my insight from that is, I'm not saying there is no good or evil in the world, but there's always an unintended consequence. Now, this particular one is quite surprising for me. I read the article, I understand the strategies, how to deal with it, and how to, make sure that we're not subconsciously discriminating, or making sure that, these positions and these structures are welcoming to women, but also whatever, diversity you want to achieve, it is there. But on one hand, anything you do will have some sort of consequences. Now, it's unavoidable, and you cannot foresee everything, and neither should you try. I think, it's just a waste of time and a good reason for you to go into an unwelcome place of anxiety, trying to control things that cannot ever control or foresee. But what you can do is reflect. What you can do is use the power of hindsight to see what are the effects of your actions. And if you achieve an effect that is far away from what you wanted to achieve, so the deviation is a lot, you might want to flag it and see the reason for that to happen. And don't always go for the Occam's razor. It will mask the real reason. So, at one point, we were running a program with a company, with a group of leaders, a large one, and to boost engagement, we've started some simple gamification challenges. Very simple ones, and I think, they were quite fun. They didn't require much extra work on top of what they were doing, and I thought, the people will really engage with them. But the one, and then the next challenge we've put forward had incredibly little engagement. The program itself, because it was another iteration, we expected the engagement to fluctuate, but we're really surprised by the lack of engagement on gamification. And the problem is we brushed it aside. And only after the program ended and, we got all the feedback loops, which is another topic, properly inspected, it turned out that it was a symptom of a much bigger issue that we have missed. And I'm probably going to remember it for quite a long time. And, to apply the lean principle of if your process effect or the effect of your process of your outcome is far away from what you've expected, do review why it might be the case, because it might be something totally that you would never expect, and it might prompt you to make serious changes because there might be serious consequences. The same with the flat management structures. If you see far fewer women applying than before the change, you might want to reflect and see if that is the case and how to remedy it. The study by the Strategic Management Journal might help. Have a read. With that, all the best. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Coach on the Rocks. And as always, I'll see you next week. Not next week, tomorrow at 9:45 for the next episode of this wonderful show, hopefully. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.